Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to Game 3 in this Best of 5 series between myself and JonTaun of Total Warhammer. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between Norsca, led by Throg the Troll King, and the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be led by Kolek Suneater. Definitely going to have some kaiju battles going on. It looks like he has Kolek, he does have the Summoners of Rage, some Chaos Knights. I got some Famir and Throg, and actually some Norscan Ice Trolls, which I actually think are quite good in this matchup. I mean, oftentimes it has to be like a really niche situation in which Trolls are good, but man, they do really well in the Chaos matchup when they're not being, punished by like handgunners and Sisters of Averlord and all kinds of missile pressure. So, as far as my army goes, in the front line, I have a couple groups of Marauder champions with great weapons, and I really think they're necessary in this matchup. You're going to be facing off against Chosen, Chaos Warriors, and even Forsaken have 75 armor, and Forsaken are a unit that you do sometimes see, sometimes especially the Demon's View. As such, I do think a couple groups of Marauder champions with great weapons in the front line are pretty much a staple against Chaos, so we have 3 of those, each of which, well not each, but the 2 groups on the flanks are going to be supported by Famir Warriors with great weapons. So number 1, honestly, I think you might as well just bring the great weapons all the time if there's any threat of large at all, simply because their stats aren't that much worse than the dual-wielding variant. They have anti-large, they have AP, they're a very good answer against Shaggots, and if you stack them on top of Marauder champions or any other infantry, they can really kind of chew their way through Chosen and do a pretty good job. So I really like Famir quite a bit since the relaunch of Norsca. So in total, we have 2 groups of those. We got 2 groups of Marauder Spearmen in the back just to assist. So for example, if there's like a huge Dragon Ogre charge or a Chaos Knight charge coming in, you let the Spears take the damage and then you follow up with the Famir Warriors because, yeah, they are somewhat tanky with 110 armor, but that's what these fodder units are for, and they have charge defense. Therefore, the charge defense is going to be negated, assuming you brace correctly, which I never do. So anyways, we'll see how that goes. Over here, I do have the Famir Balefiend with the Lore of Shadow, so I do get a Shadow cast right here. The Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, lowering the speed, which is very good at dealing with like harassing Cav. At least you're going to be giving back some damage, and it also does proc the speed increase on all my troops, which is kind of cool. In the back here, we have Marauder Hunters with Javelins, another tool, and you can see I'm falling back with the Champions, and I'm going to be returning fire with the Javelins. 90 range compared to 80, so you can screen out Skirmisher Cav. Very good against Dragon Ogres, good against Trolls. Decent against Kolek, despite the fact they lack AP, simply because of their anti-large bonus, so I really like having one group of these, and then one group of Marauder Hunters, who are quite good against Shaggots and Kolek, especially because he has 100 armor. So 2 range units here, which are going to be protected by Norscan Ice Trolls, who have, not anti-large, but really good weapon strength with 120, and they have Frostbite, which is such an underrated mechanic. It is so, well, it's not even underrated. People know it's good, but very good. If you can catch Kolek out of position, these guys can do a ton of damage, slow him down, allow Throg to do a lot of damage as well, and just a solid unit in this matchup, in my opinion, because Chaos doesn't have, missile units that are going to punish them, really. We got Throg here. Throg Daddy, definitely the best pick. Anti-large, he doesn't have to worry about missiles. He's great at dueling Chaos Lords and big scary monsters, and yeah, that's pretty much it. For JonTaun of Total Warhammer, he's got a Chaos Knight contingent, Chaos Knights with Lances, who are joined by a Firecaster. Fire is pretty good against Norsca, especially against Throg, who is vulnerable to fire. My Trolls are as well, so some scary stuff going on there. Got a Chaos Sorcerer, yeah, we already saw that. He's got some Poison Hounds, so yeah, definitely just a pretty typical stuff. Most people do team up the Chaos Warhounds with Poison with Chaos Knights. And I also do have some Norscan Ice Wolves over here in the forest, so I'm going to be trying to have a dogfight here with these Chaos Warhounds, probably. For his main army, he's got 2 groups of Chaos Marauders on the flanks, 2 groups of Chosen with Halberds, which I do like. They will struggle a little bit against my Great Opens. Granted, they'll still win because they're Chosen, but they also give him dual utility against Trolls, against Throg, against Famir, so I definitely like that from JonTaun. He has 2 of those. And he also has the Summoners of Rage, so another great anti-large tool, and yeah, we'll see how they do. Thankfully, I do have a lot of missiles to kind of poke those guys down, so hopefully I can do the trick. Let's get this battle going. So in the front here, you can see the Dragon Ogres are charging in, and these guys are just going to have to take the brunt of the punishment. The Summoners of Rage coming in with their lightning beat sticks, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of damage. Granted, my Famir are rushing in to meet them. The Famir are a very good answer. You can see my throwing axes as well, just teeing off here, and it is a wild fight in the pits. I would say, though, even though the Summoners of Rage over here, I have a slight advantage because the Famir are going to be very good against Summoners in conjunction with my armor-piercing infantry and those throwing axes, which are just pouring into those guys right now. So pretty good shock damage, though. My champs took some work. Over here on the far side, you can see we do have the champions fighting against the Chosen, and it's really not going badly. Chosen are winning, of course, and Kolek's going to be coming in, so that is always a scary situation. In the frontline fight, the Chosen with Halberds are fighting against my Marauders, and the Trolls are going to come in as well, and I saw that there was some Chaos Marauders here, so I was like, meat's back on the menu for the Trolls, so the Trolls just come in there with an angry bum rush and just crush those guys. And the Frostbite isn't going to matter so much, but despite that, man, that is a brutal-looking cinematic. They hit pretty damn hard. And it looks like on that same note, JonTaun is going to be getting a pendulum. Does he have I thought he had a Firecaster. Was that my pendulum? I guess that was my pendulum. I just forgot. So I get it down the ranks of the Marauders there. A little bit of a misplay. I should have definitely had it on the Chosen, but I was just in the heat of the battle, guys. So Throg is going to be fighting now. He does have Fight or Die. He is also taking some Marauder Horseman fire over here, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I do have all my Marauder Spears rushing over to help out. I have Throwing Axes on Kolek, which are chipping away his HP relatively quickly. And the Marauders with Great Weapons are really holding their own against these Chosen. Definitely proud of them. But over here, this has been one of the more important aspects of the fight. So the Chaos Knights came in with the Lances, but I had Famir and Frostwolves waiting for them. So he tried to retreat at the last second to reposition himself. But the Hounds came in with the Frostbite, putting their speed to 43. The Famir are now faster with 51. They're going to be able to really chip away at these Chaos Knights, and you can see he's sending over his Marauders with Throwing Axes to try and free up these Chaos Knights, but the Famir with their big lumbering swings are definitely going to be able to drag these guys down, sunder their armor, and also make the Chaos Doggies here, well, they're not Chaos Doggies, they're Norscan dogs, but they have 42 weapon strength themselves, so that can actually really add up on the Chaos Knights. You can see are shaken, they're being dragged down. I also sent some of my auxiliary Marauder Spears over here to help out. So the Chaos Knight's really just getting pounded, and this is a huge deciding factor. Winning this flank is going to allow me to collapse inward and, kind of have impunity over here on this part of the battlefield. In the back line, though, JonTaun does see an opening, so his Marauders are coming through. My Javelins have been having relative free range, as well as my Hunters, taking down the Summoners of Rage, as well as Kolek, and Throg, of course, is fighting in there pretty effectively. You can see they're thrown, but the Mountain Gods coming in. Definitely not a fun situation at all for these guys, and a couple of them get crushed into the Chaos Realms, and the Trolls are actually, they're broken, so they still have all 12, or no, actually 16 models, because I think we were playing on larger unit size. It makes it a little bit more exciting, as I've said. But over here you can see that Throg is going to be fighting against Kolek, having a bit of a monster mash, but Kolek does have the Flaming Sword of Ruin, so Throg takes a huge hit right there. Thankfully he does have regeneration, and he's going to be clubbing Kolek back, but the backline is basically compromised. So JonTaun has gotten his Marauder Horsemen into the backline, and they're just charging in, and obviously they're not really great in melee, but against like Marauder Javelins and Marauder Hunters, they're going to do just fine. And I believe they have the Flaming Sword of Ruin, yeah, so they're going to be hitting quite a bit harder. So my Marauder Javelins basically nullified and shut down. Bounce of Power, a little bit in my favor, but Throg is having to run, and this is a really bad situation. JonTaun gets the Summoners of Rage and Kolek, and they're just going to start circle beating on Throg, which is so unfortunate. Over here, it's a pretty one-sided win. You can see I do have my Marauder Champions and the Famir, who are really just taking these Chosen to town. Okay, there's still a couple left, so I guess it's not as one-sided as I thought. Over here, though, this was the area that went really well. I have, how many champs are here? 39. I got my Famir Warriors. I got some Spears coming in. They're going to be doing a bit of a rear charge here, coming in to fight against the Summoners of Rage. And you can see right there, Kolek does get a nice little roast there on some of my champions. But a very, very close fight. Kolek fighting against Throg, and the Bounce Power kind of creeping back towards the middle as Throg is starting to take damage. Now Throg is wavering. He's terrified. A really, really bad situation for me, but thankfully my Famir and my other supporting units are able to just pile in here. And Throg, thankfully, is going to be able to, terrify and run away here. And hopefully he'll be able to rally since there aren't too many Chaos Forces to chase him over here. So the fight's underway. I got 10 Famir with Great Weapons. I got Spears. I got my other group of Famir. And it looks like there's going to be some Fire Witchcraft. Another Flaming Sword, as I do use the Enfeebling Foe on Kolek to try and slow him down a little bit. But Throg is back. So this is good. So he actually attacked me with his Firecaster to try and finish off Throg. But Throg is not going to have any of that. He's going to use all of his Troll Combat and his Karate Kicks and other abilities here to just chase off this Firecaster. And here he comes. So the Firecaster gets shaken, not routed. I didn't want to chase too close to Kolek because I wanted to wait for my Ice Trolls. So here is the final battle. So Throg is going to turn around and start fighting Kolek. But surprise, surprise, the Ice Trolls are here. They got their Frostbite, and there's going to be no escape. You can see just this monster mash going on. Two large beasts of chaos, Throg the Troll King, and Kolek, though. And Famir Warriors coming in as well, so I rerouted them from the main fight and was able to get over here and surround Kolek. So Kolek is now at about 900 HP. He's just taking so much heavy damage. The weapon strength on all these troops is so high. We have 95, 120, and down goes Kolek. You can see he's just going to... That's a pretty dramatic little pose right there. But anyways, Kolek Sun Eater has fallen, guys. And from here, Throg the Troll King is going to be going after the Chaos Sorcerer with Fire. And that's probably going to be all she wrote for the Warriors of Chaos. And now for the post-game breakdown screen, you can see that Throg certainly did pretty well for my army. He didn't have the most kills, but as you guys saw throughout the game, he definitely did very well in a duelist scenario. Against Kolek, he was able to hold his own, and yes, if they were in an isolated environment, you just put them in a pit, I'm pretty sure Kolek would smash him. Although I think Throg gets him to like 30%. That was something I did way back when Norsca first came out. It was a couple tests with that, but yeah, I was very happy with Throg. On top of that, he gives you anti-large against Chaos Knights. He was able to do very well against the Summoners of Rage with his anti-large bonus, and he teams up very well with the Famir as well as the Trolls because they're all pretty quick. I think Famir, like we saw in the game, have like 50 plus speed. Ice Trolls are pretty quick as well, so they really stuck and move. On top of that, the Spears are pretty awesome. I definitely think you should bring them in this matchup if there's Chaos Knights, if there's... and the Summoners of Rage are also a very popular pick now. You're seeing them a lot, and they're good against Norsca. They have anti-large. They're good against Famir. I mean, they trade back and forth. It's pretty atrocious, but They also have that Chain Lightning, just a solid unit from Chaos. So I really think having a couple spears is important. Top of that, Marauder Champs did their job. I mean, this is the one group that got like just taken to Pound Town by the Summoners of Rage in the beginning. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that. The throwing weapons, again, not a lot of kills because they were just focusing the Summoners of Rage and Kolek, but still, I think very necessary. If you don't have those, Kolek can kind of run around and use his mass and maneuverability to just dictate the course of the battle. But if he's constantly being, peppered with spears and throwing axes and things like that, it kind of forces him into more cataclysmic, dangerous fights. So I think the throwing weapons are very important. Hounds were crucial. They were able to catch the Chaos Knights over there. I didn't get a good shot of that, but essentially what had happened is JonTaun came in with his Chaos Warhounds as well as his Chaos Knights, and then he decided to do a bit of a tactical retreat to reposition. But my Ice Hounds were able to nip the heels of the Chaos Knights before they could retreat, slowed them down, allowed my Famir and other supporting spears to get over there. And honestly, I think that was really kind of the reason that the game went in my direction, because I was then able to collapse that formation and just give the final fourth quarter battle over there. So, and yeah, Famir with great weapons really important against Chaos, and you can stack them on infantry. They'll send to the armor. They'll make your low tier stuff more effective. Just probably one of the best units on the Norscan roster. I think Famir are just so darn good with the great weapons. Just such a tanky anti-large tool. And of course, Ice Trolls. You saw the slow was really good. They came in, did substantial shock damage. They're quite a bit stronger than regular trolls. And for JonTaun's army, let's go ahead and take a look. I don't know. I personally would probably, Chosen with great weapons are pretty good here. The Marauder Horsemen, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it, it's hard to criticize the army because I really think the reason it went south was simply because of a tactical play over there on the far side where the Chaos Knights got caught, because both of us had invested, around 2,000 to 3,000 gold in those flank battles, and I was able to come out on top with the Ice Wolves. So I really think that was a big deciding factor. But as far as my Chaos versus Norsca builds go, it's pretty similar. I'll use Kolek. I probably will either use a Shadowcaster or a Firecaster. I like the Marauders on the flanks, but yeah, maybe I would go a little bit more heavy in the center pocket. I would probably cut the Chaos Knights as well as the Warhounds and just go either with the Summoners or the Chaos Knights. And from there, I would just saturate my front line a little bit more, heavily, because my front line didn't do terribly well against a very narrow Chaos front line. Had there been like one or two more chosen, it would have been very scary for sure. So anyways, very well played to JonTaun. And again, for anyone watching, this is game 3 in a best of 5 showdown we're doing in another YouTuber tournament. So the YouTuber who is hosting this tournament is Shadow Online Gaming. Make sure to check out his channel. There will be a link. Got to give him props for putting this together. It's been a fun tournament, a lot of great, and it's also taken me a while to get the finals out because I was out of town and resting my hand, and my computer was in the shop, just all kinds of madness. But again, this is game 3. So I'm currently up 2-1 in the series, and it is best of 5. So we're going to be jumping over to game 4 in the next video. So thanks again for watching this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.